Hi there. In the previous video, I created this simple bass line. If you already have some music theory knowledge, you can come up with your own parts. However, if you're a complete beginner, feel free to copy mine. Right, I'm now going to create another new part. So I'm going to close the MIDI note editor by clicking on this arrow in the bottom right here. Now I'm going to go into my browser and choose a new preset for another track. So this time I'm going to access an instrument from the core library. I'm going to use the core library as this has lots of sounds that are available in most editions of Ableton Live. To access it, go down to Places and click on Packs. Then click on the drop-down box on Core Library and go down to Racks. Here I'm going to choose Instrument Racks and I'm going to open up this folder here, Mallets. Right, I'll just scroll through a couple of these and see if there's one I like. Okay, that one sounds quite good. So what I'm going to do now is load this onto our other track. Another way of loading an instrument onto a track, rather than clicking dragging, is select the track that you'd like to load the instrument onto, and then just double click on the instrument. It's now loaded on this track. Okay, so for this part I want an arpeggio style part, something like this. Okay, so I'm going to draw this MIDI in once again. So I'm going to create a new clip by double clicking on an empty clip slot. And now we can see the MIDI note editor. Now we already have our bass line, and something you need to be aware of when writing music is the key that you're in. For this song, to keep things simple, I'm going to be using the key C major. This is often considered the easiest key to understand as it does not use any sharps or flats, which are the black notes on the keyboard. So in C major, we only use the white notes. Now, one feature that's new for Ableton Live 11, which I really like, is a scale feature in the MIDI note editor. So if we go over to the left here, you can see this box that says Scale. If you click on this, you can choose the scale that you'd like to be in. Here, it's already set to C major. Now, any notes that are in the scale that we want will be highlighted. So as we can see here, all of the white notes have been highlighted blue. If I was to change this to a different key, for example G sharp major, we can see now different notes have been highlighted, lots of the sharps and flats. So this is a really great feature for beginners which helps you understand which notes to use. One other thing I'll mention real quickly while we're looking at this feature is if you click on the scale button up here, it actually removes any notes that are not in the scale. So now we're only seeing the white notes. Personally, I wouldn't recommend using this, as it's good to have the whole piano roll open to help you understand where all the different notes are. So I'm just going to disable it for now. Feel free to use it if you like, but your music theory will improve quicker if you get used to looking at a piano roll like this. If I look at my bass part, we can just check to make sure we're using the correct notes. So I'll activate the scale feature in this clip, and there we can see we've only used these white notes here. Okay, let's start writing in our new part. So these are the notes I wanted to play. As you can see there, when I was playing notes on my keyboard, they were lighting up in the MIDI note editor. This also works when using the computer MIDI keyboard if you don't have a MIDI controller. So now I know the first note I want to write in is this F, so I'm going to double click to draw it in here. The next note I want to draw in is a C. I'm going to draw this in 1/8 note away from this F. So the F is the first eighth note of the bar. The second eighth note starts here. 2/16 notes are the length of 1/8 note. At the moment, our grid is set to 16th notes. We know this because there's 16 beat divisions in this bar. Right, I'm going to draw the C here. The D on beat 2 of the bar. I'm going to draw a G just here. Right, let's hear that back. Okay, great. I'm going to draw in a few more notes now. Right, let's listen to this back. Okay, that sounds fine. One thing you may notice, each of these notes are exactly the same volume. So, in Ableton Live, you can actually adjust the velocity of each note. The velocity determines how hard a note is played. So, with a high velocity, the note will be played very hard and will therefore be louder. With a low velocity, the notes will be played back more quietly. So, to adjust the velocity, we need to go down this little window here. If you can't see it, just make sure this arrow is pointing out to the right and that this top icon here is illuminated orange. Now, if you hover the mouse over, we'll get this icon and we can make the velocity window slightly larger. So these bars here represent the velocity for each note. As we can see, they're all exactly the same. Now, I'm just going to adjust the velocity for some of these slightly so we can hear the difference. Right, let's hear that back. See, it just sounds a little bit more natural now the notes aren't all being played back at the exact same velocity. Little changes like this can make a big difference to your song. So far, I've only shown you how to play back one clip at a time. But we can actually play back both clips at the same time if we press the play button over on the right-hand side here. This is the scene play button. The scene is the row of clips. So we can see the numbers on the side here are numbering each scene. So when I play this back, it's going to play both of these. Let's have a listen. Notice when we're playing that back, this part seemed to clash with the bass a little. So what I'm going to do is turn this MIDI clip into an 8-bar clip so we can add some more notes and vary them slightly. So to do so, I'm just going to go over to length here, click and then type in 8. Then when I hit enter, we now have an 8-bar loop. Now I'm just going to select these 6 notes here, then hold Option on a Mac or Control on Windows and click and drag them over. This will copy all of the notes. Now let's have a listen back. I'm going to press the Master Stop button now to stop all clips so I can listen back to this clip on its own once more. Okay, great, that sounds fine. Now you may have noticed when I copied those over, it didn't just copy the notes, it also copied the velocity information. So, duplicating notes can be quicker than drawing them in individually as it saves you adjusting velocity once again. Right, I'm just going to show you another way that you can copy your notes. So I'm going to press Command A on Mac or Control A on Windows to select all of my notes. Now I'm going to press Command C or Control C on Windows. Now I'm going to go and click at the top of the bar here in this grey area to set the marker to this point. Now when I press Command V on Mac or Control V on Windows, it will paste them to this new position. Right, so let's listen back once more. Now we've got the exact same part once again. I'm just going to change the pitch of this note here so it fits with the bass part a little better. So I'm just going to move it up to a G. I'm going to paste these again once more at bar 5. So I'm going to click on this dark grey area here to set the marker and press paste once again, which is Command V on a Mac or Control V on Windows. And this time I'm just going to move that first note once again, but up to an A. Let's go to bar 7 and paste again. So I'll click here and press Command V. This time I'm going to move this first note to a B. And now we've got an 8-bar loop. So let's listen to this back with the bass by clicking on the play button on the scene. Right, that sounds much better. We've now got an arpeggiated part in time with our bass. In the next video, I'm going to start looking at MIDI recording. Thanks for watching.